Uh, I would like also to say my greetings to you all, starting with Her Excellency, who is already with us, Joyce Banda. I also wanted to say a special welcome to my boss, the Executive Director of UN Women, Dr. Phumzile Mlambo Luka. I would like to welcome she is the co-convener of the African Women Leaders Network with Madame Binta Diop, the special envoy of the African Union on Women, Peace and Security, who is the second, they are the two co-conveners of AWLIN. Greetings to also Dr. Joanne Bewa, who is leading the caucus, the youth caucus of AWLIN. And I recognize all of you from the national chapters. We are already 136 connected, and this is just the beginning. I know we will have far more people. And I know the national chapters have been working for the last 3 years, and they really accelerated the work for the last year, operationalizing the chapters and reaching out to all the women on the ground. And today we will have 6 chapters share their experiences, but what we can say is that they are really, really moving the needle on the ground, bringing women leaders together, addressing the key issues, and making sure that no one is left behind in this effort. We are here. We don't want to spend too much time. You know, the African Women Leaders Network, all those who are online, just a reminder, launched on in 2017, the 2nd of June 2017, and what a journey between then and now. Everything has happened on the ground, and I will not tell you the story. The women from the ground will do it. So our program today is a very exciting one. We will have Dr. Bewa give the opening remarks, and then joined by the 2 co-hosts of the event. After that, we will have our own Dr. Joyce Banda, who is our keynote speaker, and who will address the group. Then we will listen to the different panelists who will come from the countries. We have DRC, we also have Nigeria, Kenya, and we have Tunisia, and we will have Zimbabwe. They will all share the experiences from their different chapters and from the different pillars of AWLIN. Then we will have the Q&A, and then after the Q&A, we will have our closing remarks with Dr. Phumzile Mlambo Luka, the Undersecretary General and Executive Director of UN Women, and Madame Diop, the Special Envoy on Women, Peace and Security of the African Union. Just some information. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you will see the sign about the interpretation. If you need interpretation, you will see like a globe, and it reads interpretation. If you go there, you click, you can go to French or English to get the interpretation. Another information, during the conversation, please feel free to send your questions in the chat box, and we will try to consolidate the questions. Even if we cannot answer them today, we will make sure that we reflect them on the report of our event. Lastly, before I give the floor to Dr. Bewa, we have 1 hour and a half overall, and we should be finishing at 9 a.m. New York time. So please help me moderate and do the timekeeping, and it will allow us to listen to you and also to give the floor to all those who are connected and who want to share some of their experiences. Without any further ado, I would like to give the floor to Dr. Joanne Bewa, the Youth Caucus leader, to give us the opening remarks. Dr. Bewa, over to you.
Thank you very much, Madam Jaisek. Her Excellency Dr. Joyce Banda, former President of Malawi and Aulin pioneer, Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, Under Secretary General and Executive Director of UN Women, Madam Bineta Diop, Special Envoy on Women, Peace and Security, His Excellency David Shishiku, Permanent Representative of the Democratic Republic of the Congo to the UN, and I think represented here by Mr. Chargé d'Affaires Paul Efembe. His Excellency Ambassador Christoph Hüsgen, Permanent Representative of Germany to the UN, Madam Awan Diaisek, Special Representative on the establishment of the Aule National Chapters at UN Women, Madame la représentante des différents chapitres nationaux de la RDC, du Nigeria, du Kenya, du Zimbabwe, de la Tunisie et des autres chapitres nationaux. Chères jeunes femmes du caucus des jeunes femmes leaders, good morning, bonjour, bon après-midi, bonsoir. It is such a tremendous honor to deliver this opening remark today, March 24th, 2021, at the side events of the Commission of the Status of the Women CW 65, women's full and effective participation and decision-making in public life, as well as the elimination of violence for achieving gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls. First of all, I would like to acknowledge the tremendous work achieved by all national chapters, as well as UN Women, African Union, Germany, and DRC, and all partners supporting a national chapter on the ground. Kudos to you, Madam Special Representative, on the establishment of the national chapters for reaching the target goal. Has convened a series of conversation, including a global consultation, engaging at least 25 chapters to share ground. The Outland Young Women Caucus led outstanding engagement to raise aspiration our peers need as part of the pandemic response. In fact, the caucus has led effort at the continental level to develop meaningful strategies to engage youth in a response, being part of the Beijing Plus 25 regional consultations at the front line of the Women, Peace and Security agenda, but also engage in the She Leads Peace campaign. We also did engage 5 across Africa throughout national consultation and regional ones to guide the design of our annual intergenerational retreat, took place in December 2020 under the theme Women Navigating Leadership in Holistic Newness. During this retreat, gathering hundreds and hundreds of young and senior women, we did outline opportunities and priorities for women leadership in light of this holistic newness that we are all navigating, but also discussed the Aule mentoring framework. We did identify critical issues, including priorities related to leadership and governance, women's social protection during and beyond humanitarian and fragile setting, women, peace and security, including political violence, COVID-19 and women's health overall, intergenerational dialogue and mentorship, economic empowerment, gender-based violence, and sexual and reproductive health. These priorities, in fact, have shaped our retreat and led to the adoption of an outcome document with 16 action points summarized as follows. Establishment of youth caucuses across all chapters and beyond existing chapters with technical and funding support, promotions of women's rights, participation, leadership, economic empowerment, inclusion, sexual and gender-based violence, the benefit of the fourth industrial revolution, innovation, building and strengthening our indigenous knowledge, but also building the African well-known knowledge and innovation. Of course, looking at leadership, mentorship, and intergenerational dialogue as key framework to build and strengthen those priorities area. As we are learning today, as we start learning since 2017 at the launch of the Owl Network, and that's how we are still learning today from the best practices to advance women's participation and leadership in decision-making and governance, let's ensure that we continue to create, to strengthen, but most importantly, to operationalize synergies between Owlin chapters, Owlin youth caucuses, and every and all policy making spaces, action and influencing spaces, including the Generation Equality Coalitions, namely the Action Coalition on Feminist Movement and Leadership, and the Women, Peace and Security and Humanitarian Action Compact. Last but not the least, as we are not only building back together, but also building forward together as a strong, groundbreaking movement, we need to continue building a strong and groundbreaking movement with young women and senior leaders co-leading. I definitely do not have any doubt that this conversation that continues today will serve as a unique learning opportunity, learning platform for sustainable actions to achieve gender equality, empowerment of all women, strengthen women's full and effective participation and decision-making, and eliminate all forms of violence. Thank you so much for listening to me. And I really, on behalf of the Owlin Youth Caucus and the entire Owlin, really wish us to have a fruitful conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bewa, and thank you for sharing the outcome of the work you have achieved this year with the Youth Caucus, and also to have shared the action points that resulted from the retreat of the Youth Caucus. We really look forward to supporting you and working with you in the implementation of these action points. And we look forward to also being with you in the next retreat that you're planning to hold this year. Thank you, and let me now give the floor to, je vais donner la parole maintenant à Monsieur Paul Mpole Efambe Losoko, qui est le chargé d'affaires AI de la mission permanente de la République démocratique du Congo à New York. Donc, Monsieur Losoko, vous avez la parole et merci d'avoir accepté de co-hoster la réunion d'aujourd'hui. La parole est à vous, s'il vous plaît.
Madame Awa Ndiaye-Seck, je voudrais vous remercier pour la façon dont vous dirigez nos travaux et permettez-moi aussi, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, à vos titres et qualités, de vous saluer tous et de vous souhaiter la bienvenue à cet événement et de remercier sincèrement tous les organisateurs de cet événement pour l'initiative et l'excellente coopération qui a permis la tenue de cette réunion qui porte sur un sujet important, à savoir promouvoir le leadership des femmes en Afrique. Je suis d'autant plus heureux de participer à cet échange qui s'inscrit dans la logique de partenariat nécessaire, gouvernement, organisations internationales et société civile, pour faire avancer l'agenda de l'égalité des genres et de l'autonomisation de la femme. C'est en effet ensemble, chacun apportant sa vision, que nous réussirons à bâtir un monde plus juste et respectueux des droits des femmes et des filles. Face à la crise sanitaire mondiale et à la crise économique auquel nous sommes confrontés, ainsi qu'à leurs conséquences, il est essentiel que nous continuions à unir nos efforts, les évaluer ensemble et rectifier le tir en cas de nécessité. Le tableau de la situation de la femme de façon générale et de son leadership en Afrique dans le contexte de la pandémie du coronavirus présente une image ambivalente. D'un côté, l'image des femmes assidues qui ont énormément contribué à maintenir l'équilibre familial et économique et social, et de l'autre, des tendances régressives sur le progrès réalisé. En effet, dès le début de la pandémie de coronavirus, en mars 2020, nous avons vu les femmes africaines être à l'avant-garde de la réponse à la crise sanitaire et socio-économique, aussi bien au niveau régional que national et local. Les femmes ont, individuellement ou collectivement, apporté leur soutien aux communautés, plaidé pour le leadership des femmes et la prise en compte de leurs besoins dans les réponses au COVID-19 et les actions post-COVID-19. Grâce à leur leadership, les femmes ont pu permettre à de nombreux foyers africains de maintenir l'équilibre familial, économique et social. Et je pense ici à toutes ces femmes africaines, piliers de nos ménages, patientes et résilientes, travailleuses, assidues, maraîchères, commerçantes, et entrepreneuses, et à celles qui sont engagées dans la politique et sur qui parfois repose tout le poids de la famille. De l'autre côté, la COVID-19 a marqué un recul inquiétant des acquis et avancées en matière d'égalité hommes et femmes et d'autonomisation des femmes, et a en même temps accentué les violences basées sur le genre. À ce sujet, l'UNICEF a par exemple attiré l'attention de la communauté internationale dans son rapport intitulé « COVID-19, une menace pour les progrès enregistrés contre le mariage des enfants », publié à l'occasion de la Journée internationale des femmes, quand il prévient que 10 millions de mariages d'enfants supplémentaires risquent d'être conclus d'ici la fin de la décennie suite à la fermeture des écoles, à l'absence des réseaux de soutien, aux contraintes économiques et aux décès parentaux imputables à la pandémie, lesquels ont augmenté les risques de mariage pour les filles les plus vulnérables. Aussi devons-nous renforcer le leadership de la femme en Afrique pour mieux y faire face. Et pour cela, nous avons besoin de renforcer l'audace individuelle et collective pour faire avancer effectivement et implémenter toutes les mesures, déclarations, conventions adoptées en faveur de femmes au niveau continental et international. Nous devons renforcer le plaidoyer pour l'accès des femmes et des filles à l'éducation et pour garantir leur participation à la vie politique, plaidoyer pour assurer l'égalité des chances dans l'accès à l'emploi et aux postes de direction et de prise de décision à tous les niveaux, plaidoyer pour accélérer le rythme de notre progrès et d'assurer l'accès aux vaccins à tous en vue d'un retour rapide à une vie normale, à même de garantir le retour des activités essentielles et fondamentales de la vie. Il nous faut hausser le ton et sensibiliser. L'égalité des sexes est un droit humain fondamental. À ce sujet, convaincu du rôle important des femmes et de leur leadership pour la transformation du continent et la réalisation de l'agenda 2063, le président de la République démocratique du Congo et président en exercice de l'Union africaine, j'ai cité son Excellence M. Félix-Antoine Tshisekedi Tshilombo, a fait de la consolidation de la lutte contre les violences basées sur le genre et la promotion de la parité des sexes dans la représentation au sein des instances africaines de décision et dans les pays membres, l'un de 9 piliers qui forment les priorités sur lesquelles il s'appuie pour matérialiser la vision et les plans d'action de sa mandature à l'Union africaine. Il s'appuie également sur l'égalité complète hommes-femmes dans toutes les sphères de la vie pour la réalisation de l'aspiration 6 de son plan d'action qui porte sur le développement de l'Afrique dirigé par ses citoyens et tributaires du potentiel des populations africaines. Parmi les actions à réaliser pour matérialiser son programme d'action et sa vision de l'agenda égalité des genres et autonomisation de la femme, le président en exercice de l'Union africaine prévoit entre autres d'évaluer scientifiquement l'étendue du nombre de violences basées sur les genres à travers le continent pendant la pandémie de la COVID-19 et au-delà, de soutenir et promouvoir la campagne Tolérance Zéro sur les violences sexuelles basées sur le genre dans toute l'Afrique, ainsi que de mobiliser les fonds de réparation pour les victimes de ces violences, d'encourager l'adoption par les États membres des plans d'action nationaux et d'un plan d'action continental de lutte contre les violences sexuelles, de sensibiliser les chefs d'État et de gouvernement sur la nécessité de rendre opérationnelle la coopération judiciaire pénale et faciliter l'accès à la justice pour les victimes de toutes les formes de violences basées sur le genre afin de lutter efficacement contre l'impunité dans ce domaine. Pour y parvenir, je m'arrête là, la présidence de l'Union africaine, la RDC, compte sur l'engagement de tous les partenaires, particulièrement des femmes leaders, notamment celles du réseau AWLN. Vous êtes des modèles pour beaucoup et votre voix devra rester forte et haute et vos actions toujours transformatrices des habitudes, des mentalités et des lois. Ensemble, nous sommes capables de déplacer les montagnes. Je vous remercie de votre attention.
Merci beaucoup, monsieur le chargé AI. Vous nous venez du pays qui préside actuellement l'Union africaine, mais vous nous venez aussi du pays qui a le 14 décembre 2017, mis en place un chapitre national de Aulin. Let me repeat it, you came from DRC, the country chairing chairing the African Union, the country that first established a national chapter of Aulin. And we were happy you co-hosted this event with Germany, because Germany trusted the African Women Leaders Network right from the beginning. And thanks to Germany's support, we were able to move this platform and to change the dynamic in the field at local, national, and continental level. So thank you, Ambassador Husgen, for the support to the African Women Leaders Network, and you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Sek. Thanks for having us here, and let me say how much a pleasure it is to co-organize, co-host the event today. And you know, as you just mentioned, we have been with you from the very beginning. From 5 years ago, I still remember when we were here together with my sister from Ghana in New York, Martha Pope, when we launched the New York group of friends of the African Women Leaders Network. And when I look back now, 5 years, it's incredible how far we have come. Not only here in New York, but much more importantly, of course, on the ground. I think, as you said in your introductory remarks, we were able to move the needle on the ground. And that was because there are so many people on the grassroots that got together, that were motivated, that established all these national chapters. And we have a wonderful group of people together from all that many activists, and women come together for mentoring, for exchange, for mutual support, and be very, very inclusive. As I said, I was very happy for Germany. Germany is very happy to be part of this, of something which has become a Pan-African movement. So we have been bringing together all the local leaders, entrepreneurs, academia, activists, women, and I think we have inspired and empowered millions of people. Let me make, I don't want to be long, it's so many speakers, by the way, thanks very much, together with my colleague, that we are, I think, the only two men allowed, so thank you very much for that. But I'll be short. 2 points. One, I think that we have, with the African Women Leaders Network, with all the chapters, and we'll hear from them, we have moved forward. I think we have to take the next step, and we have to make steps that the structures, the organization, the financing of the network is sustainable, and we believe it's time to establish a dedicated permanent secretariat for the African Women Leaders Network with sufficient staffing and funding to facilitate its important work. So, of course, the key is that you have individual chapters, but what is most important is that we learn from each other, that the different chapters learn from it, that they empower each other, that they learn from their experience. And therefore we are in favor of institutionalizing it, and Germany has been supporting the African Union, UN Women. We support the African Women Leaders Network, and we continue to be engaged. And the second point I want to make, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and that is, it means that we need to see that we actually have leaders on the ground. I'm very happy that with Dr. Joyce Banda, we have, I think, the second women president in Africa now with us after Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. But Dr. Joyce Banda, I'm looking forward to your talk, but you will agree with me that this is not enough. we need to have more. I come from a country where we are now in the 16th year of a woman as chancellor. Chancellor Angela Merkel is there for 16 years, a woman at the leadership. We have successive defense ministers who are women, and the one woman who was defense minister until last year, Ursula von der Leyen, became the president of the European Commission. And when I look at the African Union, we don't have that many women yet there and in their leadership. So I think more needs to be done. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. We need more women in leadership. And this is, I think, something we should aim at. So I promise not to be too long. Don't want to get carried away. Thanks again for having me, for having Germany support the work, and we'll continue to do that. Thank you very much, Ms. Seck, and congratulations on your work.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Husgen, and we heard you. The institutionalization is ongoing, I can assure you, not only at the global level, but also at national level. And I'm sure you will hear more about it. If not today, at another, we will have another opportunity to share more on what is going on. The other issue, so the institutionalization, totally agree with you. Working to have more leaders on the ground, to have more Dr. Joyce Banda and more Helen Johnson Sirleaf. Yes, that's something that the women leaders will probably share something about shortly when they speak. And the two co-conveners can also talk about it. We work around the Generation Equality Forum, we work around the action coalitions, and we're really bridging the gaps and strengthening the linkages between what is happening at local, national, regional, and global level. And I think Aulin is the platform that allows it. Now, I wanted, before giving the floor to the keynote speaker, insist that the national chapters are doing a fantastic work on the ground. We have monthly coordination meetings, and I hope we will have the opportunity to get more to attend these meetings and to learn more about what they are doing. But the other thing is that this group of friends that you are co-chairing in New York has been a source of inspiration, not only in Addis Ababa, but also in some other places, and the national chapters are working on it. So thank you, Ambassador, for making the commitment to continue to support, and we look forward to not only your support, but to bringing more partners to come and work with these fantastic African women leaders. Now, it is my honor to give the floor to Dr. Joyce Banda. I think I don't need to introduce her. Just say that she's an entrepreneur, an activist, a politician, a philanthropist, a global champion for women and girls, and she has been the president of Malawi from 2012 to 2014, the first female to hold this position. And prior to assuming office, President Joyce Banda served also as a member of parliament, member of Minister of Gender and Child Welfare, Foreign Minister, and Vice President of the Republic of Malawi. If I want to introduce her, I will use the whole time. So we're gonna just leave it there and give the floor to Dr. Joyce Banda to address the group. Dr. Banda, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Andy. Thank you very much for that invitation. The reason why I love to join these Zoom meetings is that I see many friends on the screen. It's a good afternoon for me. But I wanted in a very special way to congratulate Mr. Paul Losoko. You know, as an African man, I've said all over the world that our men are unique in the sense that they decided a long time ago to open space for African women to participate in leadership. So we don't fight our men, we work with them, we engage them. And he just demonstrated this afternoon that he's a champion for women's rights. Secondly, I would like to thank Mr. Christopher Hussein. We were together when we launched the group of friends for Alwyn. In fact, I'm the one who spoke at that event, representing Alwyn. Listening to you, I am just as concerned. So thank God, Madam Diop is here. This is an offer that we must take advantage of. We've done so much work, both at headquarters and in the field, but when you hear a donor speak like that, they are ready to support even more. And I hope we shall grab this opportunity. It gives me great pleasure to be a keynote speaker at this event today. Let me begin by congratulating women of Africa through the African Women Leaders Network for organizing this side event at the 65th session of the Commission on the Status of Women that is currently underway. I'm grateful to Alwyn for convening this high-level side event under the theme, Driving Women's Leadership in Africa. But I was also specifically requested to look at women's participation in leadership during the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm particularly happy to learn that this event will also discuss the impact of COVID-19 pandemic in Africa, and more especially on women and girls on our continent. What is most gratifying for me is the fact that even in the midst of COVID-19, one of the worst and highly contagious pandemics ever to hit mankind, our commitment and dedication as African women leaders in advancing women's agenda remained on course and steadfast against all odds. As we discuss women leadership and how we rebuild our nations and economies, our health systems, and our education systems post-COVID-19, it is only imperative that our focus is on our 6 pillars, including governance, political participation, peace and security, finance, agriculture, social mobilization, and the youth. Before I go into the details of my address today, I want to bring to your attention some challenges we faced as nations and as a continent during the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. One, closure of schools across the continent for a year and lack of e-learning have affected our learners. It is a known fact that we have faced deterioration in education standards following a prolonged absence of our learners from schools and the inability of third world countries in providing conducive environment of e-learning, e-learners to our scholars because of lack of equipment, infrastructure, and resources. Number 2, we have recorded a huge increase in teen pregnancies and teen marriages as a result of lockdowns and curfews. As we speak, a UNESCO report has revealed that 9 million girls, most of these being in Africa, have dropped out of school during the COVID-19 pandemic period alone. Africa already has 39 million girls out of school before the COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, we shall need to special programs, and our partners should be listening to us to make sure that we run and we rush and rescue our girls that have dropped out of school. Number 3, the rapidly increasing cases of gender-based violence have reached worrisome levels during the COVID-19 period. And I am struggling to understand how there's a lockdown, we are both locked up in the house, we can't go out. My husband or my partner decides that I'm going to be his punching bag and abuse me and even kill me. I mean, these are issues maybe that we should discuss further as the African women leaders. Number 4, poverty levels have worsened, especially in poorer countries where a majority of its citizens are subsistence farmers and survive on hand-to-mouth way of living. As we are all aware, this meeting comes at a time when humanity faces evidently one of the worst and most devastating pandemics of our time. It is common knowledge that COVID-19 has been a tragedy to humanity in general and to women in particular. It is a huge setback to the women agenda, to some extent in areas of continuity, in women participation, in national elections, and responding to violence. For many third world countries, the impact of the scourge on socio-economic indicators has been devastating. It is indeed a setback to the progress we have made in so many sectors this far. From a gender perspective, the pandemic remains a matter of grave concern as it is on the verge of reversing significant socio-economic gains that have been achieved in the recent past. As we are already aware, many African economies are at present worse off than they were in 2013 when we launched the AU Agenda 2063. The challenges we faced from that time, we have not only increased, but we have also been buttressed and galvanized by the COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, the pandemic necessitates a totally different dimension to Africa's trajectory in the attainment of the growth and development agenda, as realization of the same has to not only share resources with COVID-19 recovery agenda, but also has to compete for resources with the same. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, yes, Africa may take solace in the fact that deaths emanating from COVID-19 pandemic are comparatively lower than the first world, but the socio-economic ripple effect of the pandemic is huge, and it is something that will take years for the continent to recover from. And this effectively will negatively affect the continent's drive to attainment of socio-economic growth. In view of the foregoing, the question is, what do we do? I dare say the answer to this question is right before us. We have to find innovative means as women leaders to secure resources for post-COVID-19 recovery. With this answer, another question should be, how do we do this and where do we start from? Distinguished members, the answer to this question lies nowhere other than within Africa itself. Make no mistake about it, Africa has everything it takes and it requires to finance and manage its post-COVID-19 recovery process. And more importantly, to manage its own destiny and turn around its fortune. In terms of resource endowment, Africa is by far one of the richest continents on earth. Africa is rich with abundant array of priceless resources everywhere. However, configuration of myriad factors, which include poor leadership, exploitation and interference by foreign powers, among other factors, have denied Africa and its people the luxury and benefits of their wealth, and this has resulted in untold poverty levels for Africa. It remains a painful truth that Africa has been and continues to be looted and plundered left, right, and center, and this affects women, and it will take African women leaders to raise their voices against this. A study commissioned by the African Union revealed that its wealth, worth well over $70 billion US, is stolen from Africa every year. The study findings should be a wake-up call to Africa and its leadership, particularly the African Union, and in turn, African women at the African Union. This trend cannot continue, it simply has to stop, and it has to stop now. This is the wealth that Africa needs, not only to drive its agenda and manage its post-COVID-19 recovery, but also its wider development endeavor and to address the many challenges and problems that we face in Africa. And following on the research, the study that was done, I want to reiterate that it is African women that will raise their voices and ensure that our resources are not wasted. And that is up to us as African women leaders, since we are there at the African Union. Africa has huge agricultural potential. The sector has essentially everything required to grow, feed, and prosper Africa and its citizenry. Africa is blessed with the finest soils for agricultural production. Africa is blessed with one of the best climate and weather conditions on earth. Truly, Africa is blessed with abundant labor force on earth. And I have said everywhere, I've spoken, that African women will till the land, will plant the crop, will tend the crop, will harvest, will store, will process, will cook, will serve, and then eat last and least. And that is also another fight that we as African women leaders must confront. With all this, one thing is abundantly clear: Africa's agriculture sector is one huge gold mine that we have, a sector that has too much potential to turn around our fortune, a sector that, if well exploited, will not only provide the much needed financing for the attainment of our agenda, but help us manage the post-COVID-19 recovery process, but also, and more importantly, help Africa to grow and develop its economies and become self-reliant. It is therefore apparent clear developing our agriculture sector is one of the huge success factors that Africa needs. I'm going towards the end, Madam. Deal with many of its problems, which include unemployment, food shortage, malnutrition, extreme poverty, and donor dependency syndrome. Some strides have been made in ushering women into decision-making positions. Day after day, nations are implementing the 50-50 representation in cabinets. Our African Union has achieved parity, and the judiciaries and president after president are appointing half of their cabinet being women. I also wish to thank all young men and women of Africa and the older generation across the continent, led by President Buhari of Nigeria, for the support that we all provided towards the candidacy of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala to the position of Executive Director of the Women World Trade Center. May I also condole the people of Tanzania for the loss of one of the most distinguished sons of Africa, Dr. John Pombe Magufuli, who was their president, but also a Pan-Africanist, one who loved his people, used his own words, one who sacrificed a lot for the transformation of the lives of ordinary people of Tanzania, one who transformed Tanzania beyond recognition. And lastly, relevant to this event today, I wish to congratulate and thank the people of Tanzania for the smooth transition of the assuming of the presidency by the Vice President of Tanzania, Madam Samia Suluhu Hassan. As African Women Leaders Network, we pledge our support and prayers to our sister President Samia Suluhu Hassan Mohammed. In our drive to find solutions to our problems, challenges, and development needs, our critical factor that we need is political will, leadership at continental level, leadership at regional level, leadership at national level. In our particular case, women leaders must lead. In conclusion, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, what is critical among us, our recovery post-COVID-19 and the role we women leaders can play in our nations to address issues of rescuing our girls to go back to school, reduce poverty, eliminate teen pregnancies, teen marriages, and fight gender-based violence. I myself, during the pandemic, did a lot of several things, and I will not go into them. But I wanted to say that the Swiss bank, UBS, has announced, and I'm talking now about the solution to the problems we have. How do we tackle those 4 issues that we have talked about? How do we recover our nations? Where do organizations like African Women Leaders Network and the national chapters get resources? Swiss bank UBS has announced that the club of billionaires became richer during the COVID-19 period. And between April and July alone, they increased their wealth by 27.5%, meaning that the wealth rose to $10.2 trillion US. Can I make a humble request that the African Union, the UN Women should engage the global, this distinguished club of billionaires to help in the recovery process post-COVID-19. It is only moral obligation, if not social corporate responsibility. So allow me to close by a quote by one Joyce Banda. It was tweeting last week. I know it's not proper to quote oneself, but let me finish by saying, and I said this when I was very young, so since it is on Twitter, I'll be allowed to quote myself. The seed of success in every nation on earth are best planted in women and children. I'm sorry to have taken so long, but may God bless you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Excellency. It was really, we were delighted to listen to you and to hear all the experience you shared with us. And of course, we wish we could have more time, but I will quote you that we must run, rush, and rescue our girls. That will go on a tweet that I post. Thank you. So now let's move to the panel, and we have 5 panelists. We need to manage the time, and I will ask the panelists to stick to the time and try to stay within 4 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes, please. I will give the floor to Madame Julienne Lusenge, because now we're talking about the different pillars, and we need to hear about you, from you, about what is happening on the field. We will start with Madame Julienne Lusenge, and after her, we will have Miss Ebere Ifendu. So, Madame Julienne Lusenge, Madame Lusenge de la RDC, sur le pilier Femmes, Paix et Sécurité. Vous avez la parole. Maman Julienne.
Merci beaucoup, Awa, pour cette opportunité, et merci à les excellentes personnes qui sont sur ce panel et sur cette réunion. Nous avons suivi les remarques et les engagements des partenaires et de nos sœurs et de nos frères par rapport à la situation. Je suis présentement à Beni où on massacre et on égorge tous les jours. Je suis arrivée hier et même ce matin, quand j'avais la réunion avec les femmes, on a encore brûlé 2 camions et une voiture et emporté beaucoup de gens sur la route axe vers la frontière avec l'Ouganda. Les femmes de Beni ont accueilli les membres de EWILIN, chapitre de la RDC, qui sont venus en mission de solidarité ici à Beni pour encourager, et aussi les membres de EWILIN ont apporté leur soutien moral et ont apporté aussi des vivres et de nos vivres pour les victimes de ce massacre, les victimes d'Ebola, les victimes de Covid, pour soutenir, pour faire ce qu'on peut. Elles ont cotisé elles-mêmes et elles ont aussi mobilisé un peu de fonds auprès de personnes de bonne volonté et auprès de fonds pour les femmes congolaises pour arriver à réaliser cette mission. Aujourd'hui, les femmes de Beni me disent encore, quand je leur ai dit qu'il y avait cette réunion, les femmes de Beni m'ont demandé d'abord de saluer tous les membres de panel et tous les partenaires qui soutiennent EWILIN, mais aussi demander aux membres de EWILIN, chapitre de la RDC, de revenir à Beni, parce que leur présence a donné un peu de tonus à leur mouvement ici pour dire non à la guerre et à tout ce qui se passe et travailler pour la paix. Nous sommes venus, quand nous sommes arrivés à Goma, nous avons rencontré les femmes de Goma, nous avons parlé avec les femmes de Goma, nous avons écouté les femmes de Goma qui nous ont parlé de la situation, des témoignages sur ce qui se passe dans la province en général. Nous sommes arrivés à Beni. À Beni, nous avons rencontré les jeunes, nous avons rencontré les chefs coutumiers, nous avons rencontré les femmes, nous avons rencontré l'autorité militaire et administrative, nous avons rencontré aussi les services de sécurité qui nous ont parlé de la situation et nous avons apporté notre soutien aux victimes. Nous avons rencontré aussi les victimes qui nous ont parlé de la situation. Jusqu'à aujourd'hui, on n'arrive pas à comprendre que le monde continue à regarder les massacres qui se passent, les gens qui sont égorgés dans la ville de Beni et dans les environs de Beni, dans tout le territoire. Après, nous sommes rentrés à Kinshasa. Nous avons communiqué ce que nous avons attendu ici Nous sommes allés rencontrer la représentante du secrétaire général. Nous lui avons donné notre rapport et nous avons partagé. Nous sommes aussi allés rencontrer le coordonnateur humanitaire pour lui parler de ce que nous avons entendu ici, de ce que nous avons vu. Nous sommes allés rencontrer les différents ministres pour leur parler de ce que nous avons vu. Nous avons aussi rencontré les missions diplomatiques pour rapporter de ce que la population a dit et ce que la population attend. Malheureusement, nous n'avons pas pu, à ce moment-là, avoir le rendez-vous avec le président de la République. Nous attendons toujours recevoir ce rendez-vous-là pour aller parler avec lui. Nous avons apporté notre assistance donc, pendant le Covid et pendant l'Ebola aux personnes. Et nous avons aussi vu à Kinshasa les jeunes qui se sont constitués et les membres de Ewelin, chapitre de la RDC, se sont joints au groupe des jeunes de Ewelin pour apporter l'assistance aux personnes vulnérables dans la ville de Kinshasa et aux environs de la ville de Kinshasa. Elles ont apporté des vivres et des non-vivres, des femmes qui travaillaient dans l'informel, le commerce informel, qui ne pouvaient plus survivre parce qu'il y avait confinement. Les jeunes ont mobilisé des ressources et des matériels, des vivres et tout, pour apporter à ces personnes pour continuer à vivre. Même dans les campus, les jeunes Ewelin sont allés et les autres membres des organisations sont allés rencontrer les gens pour leur apporter assistance. Malgré la situation difficile, parce que c'était à ce moment-là, la contamination était vraiment à la hausse. Nous avons aussi formé les femmes. Donc, Ewelin, avec l'accompagnement des ONU Femmes, a formé les femmes pour s'adapter à cette nouvelle façon de travailler, pour utiliser les différentes plateformes et arriver à participer aux réunions qui se tiennent actuellement en virtuel, pour que nous restions toujours connectés avec les autres à travers le monde. Et ça a aidé les femmes à faire monter leur leadership pour participer, pour parler de leur situation et apporter leurs informations. Alors, au niveau de l'Union africaine, en tant que membre de Ewelin, nous sommes là. Notre frère Paul a tout parlé de ce qui se trouve dans le mandat du chef de l'État. Je ne vais pas y revenir. Donc, nous sommes là pour apporter la voix des femmes. Nous sommes là pour apporter et veiller à ce que cette voix soit attendue au niveau de la présidence de la RDC, mais aussi au niveau de la présidence, au niveau de l'Union africaine. C'est comme ça notre mission et je suis épaulée par les autres membres de Ewelin RDC pour apporter ces idées, pour construire ces idées avec l'accompagnement des ONU Femmes. Voilà le travail que nous sommes en train de faire et nous voulons vraiment avoir plus de soutien. Le chapitre de la RDC attend le soutien pour que nous puissions, soutien technique et soutien financier pour nous aider à réaliser. Les femmes de Bénin nous attendent pour revenir ici. Nous devons encore revenir et nous attendions à aller jusqu'à New York. Nous était la pandémie de Covid-19. Nous étions décidés d'aller rencontrer encore d'autres personnes pour leur parler de la situation de la RDC. Voilà, je vois de me regarder, donc elle m'a donné juste 4 minutes. Donc, j'essaie un peu de condenser ce que nous avons préparé à tant que membre de Ewelin pour vous parler. Donc, s'il y a des questions, je pourrais toujours répondre à ces questions. Mais la situation ici à l'est de la RDC reste très, très préoccupante. Et nous comptons vraiment sur l'appui et l'accompagnement des partenaires. Nous sommes contents que l'ambassadeur de l'Allemagne nous a dit qu'il va continuer à soutenir Ewelin. Et nous attendons que les autres aussi joignent les mains pour soutenir réellement, pour construire la paix. Ce sont les femmes qui vont construire la paix. Ce que j'ai attendu aujourd'hui, les risques que les femmes prennent sans protection ici à Béni pour essayer de construire la paix. S'il vous plaît, nous devons continuer à les soutenir. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Julienne. Et nous sommes effectivement sensibles. J'étais à Béni la semaine dernière et effectivement, je n'ai même pas pu finir la mission à cause de la situation sécuritaire. Nous vous entendons et je pense que vous avez levé le niveau de prise de conscience sur les problèmes de Béni à travers Ewelin et nous serons avec vous effectivement pour la suite. Je voudrais maintenant passer la parole à Madame Barrister Ebere Ifendou du chapitre national du Nigeria. Madame Ifendou, you have the floor from Nigeria to share your experience as Aulin on women's political participation. 4 minutes.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Can you hear me, please? I just want to confirm.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so thank you. I actually bring you greetings from Aulin chapter in Nigeria under the leadership of Professor Fumi Paramala, and also from the UN Women entity in Nigeria under the leadership of Ms. Comfort Lamte. We have been working as a network, and we have worked hard in tracking sustainable peace through inclusion, justice, and security for women. I'm going to dwell more on inclusion. The position of Nigeria is not different from what we have actually in other African countries, but ours is very pathetic in the sense that we have a huge population of women. We have women with capacity, women that are interested in politics, but not just the patriarchal society. There are other challenges, like we talk about finance and every other thing hindering us from, participating. But the major thing that we identified as Nigerian women is that we lack a strong legislation, constitutional support, like what is in Uganda, in Tanzania, in Kenya, and some other African countries, where there is clearly a constitutional provision for affirmative quota system. So this is what we are working towards. And then in doing that, members of Aulin Network in Nigeria, through different groups that are members of the network, initiated different programs to achieve this. For us as Women in Politics Forum, by the way, is an organization for women that are interested in politics and who themselves are also participants in politics, but it's a cross-party organization for women. So we looked at, how do we get this sorted out? What do we do to get the constitution right? So we started working with the parliament, and in working with the parliament, first thing we did was actually to look at the judicial interpretation of the present constitution that we have. So we had a dialogue with the FCT chief judge, and then got the views of the judiciary. We also extended it to the parliament, where we had a discussion with the Deputy Senate President, who himself is the chair of the Amendment Committee, Constitution and Electoral Act Amendment Committee in the Parliament. We made recommendations, and that recommendation, most members of the network worked together to get that out. We are still in the process. Presently, as I'm speaking, I'm also attending another program where we are working on the constitution, because we need to, put up a bill like we were requested from the parliament. So in doing that, also, we realized that we need to mentor young women to be part of the political process. So with the support of UN Women in Nigeria, we started an academy for young women. And within the academy, we have been able to train, right now is about 100 women, young women that we have trained. And all the women so far trained have joined a political party of choice, active in party participation. They are also working towards getting more people to register as voters. We realize as part of our problem is, even when we have women candidates contesting, we really do not have women understanding issues and knowing that they should vote for women. So we started that with the young women. They have gone through the various local governments, and then in very short time, we'll be going to another state where we'll, train 50 more women. So for us in Nigeria, we have done a lot of community sensitization. We started working with traditional leaders. We started working with religious leaders. We needed them to interpret to us what the Quran and the Bible says about women's participation in politics, because most times that's what they use against us. And so with, that kind of synergy that we have built, and then the leaders come up now to talk freely and openly about the roles of women in governance. I think we have made a good headway, and I want to say that in the area of violence against women, I must say that it was actually on the increase during the lockdown. And we gathered support The lockdown also brought something good for us in Nigeria. It showed that Nigerian women can really come together to work together. And it shows also that our women, with our women with capacity, they were the major frontline, workers. And so they helped, and then it brought out the capacity that is in Nigerian women. I hope, have I just started 4 minutes already?
5 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I could go on and on and on, but that's okay. Thank you very much for the time. Yes, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. We really, I think the ambassador like to hear what you said to bring more women in politics through the bill, the mentoring, and the awareness raising, the community sensitization. So thank you very much, out in Nigeria. Now I want to give the floor to Dr. Jennifer Riria from Kenya, the Kenya National Chapter, and she will be addressing the pillar on rural women and agriculture. Dr. Riria, you have 4 minutes.
Thank you very much. I will try and stick to the 4 minutes. Let me recognize the presence of Her Excellency, the President Joyce Banda. A lot of respect for her. Our protocols observed. I am dealing with a very difficult topic because, as you know, Africa is home to 500 million women. This makes 50% of the population, 14% of the global population. And as you also know, women living in rural areas make the bulk workers in the agricultural sector, and they make 80%, they contribute 8% of the food basket in Africa, in Kenya as well. And 70% in the informal sector. These are figures that are given by FAO, a report that was given in 2017. Now, this positions what I'm going to say, that women make a very critical sense, a very critical component of food security in Africa. And Africa is not sufficient in food security. This forms the basis. This drives a lot of what Aluin wants to do, to reach women in the rural areas and to make sure that they are positioned, their voices are heard in the food value chains. They are excluded completely in spite of the fact that they really hold the agricultural sector. Now, as our Excellency said, there are so many things that affected women, and I will not go into them because she did very ably. The pandemic has been very, very injurious to the women working in the agricultural sector in the rural areas. They were locked up. I couldn't even give them credit to do anything that they have to do. Their children, their girl children, are nowhere in schools. That is a very big pain for them. More responsibility for women. The climate change, even when they could get out, is impossible for them. Climate change has really destroyed the agriculture and many others as they were discussed. Now, let me stop here and give you a story. A friend of mine went to Russia recently. He walked into the street and found 2 men fighting, drunkards. And people stood around, nobody did anything about it. An old lady came with an old bag, carrying a old bag of hers. She took it and began beating those 2 men and said, "Shame on you. What are you doing in public?" And even the children are watching. The men looked at her and they walked away. That analogy shows the importance of what the women power can do. And this feeds into the Alwen in Kenya. When I took chairmanship last year, one of the things that we say we did, we created a structure. We have an Alwen structure that has got a technical committee that deals with the technical issues, an executive committee that connects Alwen members to wherever they want to be connected, and an organizing committee making sure mobilization of women in the rural areas is done. That is in place. We also want to say that we achieve connectedness with support from Ministry of Public Affairs and Gender and UN Women, the Kenyan office. We have been able to connect the women in rural areas through radio, because in this day of technology, the rural areas, women are still, left out. And this informs Alwen belief that no one should be left behind. So with the support from UN Women Kenya office, we are able to reach women in the rural areas through radio messaging in vernacular. And that is very positions women, because they will get the knowledge that we want to give them. We have also been able to analyze some of the laws that are going on right now that affect the positioning of women. And through this BBI is the big thing in Kenya today, Bridging Initiative. And that has implications for women leadership in this country, not only at a political level, but also in the counties and in the villages. We have been able to analyze, and Alwen has been able to meet to take that analysis and educate the women in the countryside, because it's very important for them to realize that BBI can be very important for them, as well as the laws that are coming, backing the Bridging initiative together. That law has been analyzed, and Alwen has been able to take that knowledge and has been able to get it to the rural areas. It's more than that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Could you just please maybe close?
Yes.
I gave you 1 additional minute already.
Yes. The challenge that Alwen chapters, and I think it's not only the Kenya chapter, is once again to make sure we have enough resources, as Our Excellency said, to be able to have Alwen as legitimate, institution with systems that are sustainably anchored in the rural areas. At the moment, the Kenyan Alwen chapter is anchored at Eco Network Africa, my institution where I'm the group CEO. But that will be good as long as I'm there. When I'm not there, we need to think of sustainability of Alwen. When UN Women is not there, we need to think of, because it's a very important movement that is sorting out the leadership of women, and they have to be included. We can't leave anyone behind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rivia, and we really appreciate the efforts to connect the women, including through the radios. We will hear more from Kenya, we are sure, because we know what is happening there on the ground. Now, let me give the floor to Ms. Imelda Wiriri from the Zimbabwe National Chapter, so she can address one other pillar of Alwen, which is the intergenerational dialogue and the young women. Ms. Imelda, you have the floor. 4 minutes, please.
Okay, thank you so much, moderator. Good morning and good afternoon to everyone. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of our distinguished guests here present, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to say all protocols observed. Thank you for the opportunity for young women to have their voices being counted and not leaving any young woman behind. With that, I do applaud the efforts of Alwen in incorporating us as young people as partners and not just beneficiaries of programs and projects. I'll open by saying something that someone once said, that it's not easy for women to claim their spaces, but when those who have gone before intentionally create them, it makes it easier. And I'm going to be talking about intergenerational mentorship and conversations that we've had in Zimbabwe. And someone might say, why even talk about intergenerational mentorship? And for me, I always liken it to a relay, to say we are in a race and we need to intentionally pass on the baton from one generation to another. If we drop the baton, it means we either fail the race or we lag behind. So we really need to get to the finishing line of the movement of getting to gender equality within our societies. What has been the key achievements of Aulen Zim chapter in terms of intergenerational dialogue and young women's leadership? So the chapter was established in February 2020, and the specific aim of the Youth Caucus was to
Miss Imelda? Cannot anymore. She seems to have some technical problems. Miss Imelda?
Refresh.
Okay, should I give the floor to Honorable Jamila while we're sorting out the technical issues with Imelda? Honorable Jamila, vous êtes en ligne? Nous allons essayer d'aider Imelda. Let's try to help Imelda, and by that time, let's give the floor to Honorable Jamila from Jamila Siksi from Tunisia to talk about women's entrepreneurship.
Oui, merci beaucoup. Vous êtes en train de m'écouter.
Voilà, allez-y, honorable. Vous avez la parole.
Tout d'abord, je vous félicite d'avoir organisé cette conférence que je la considère très, très intéressante et j'ai beaucoup appris des expériences déjà présentées par mes collègues, les représentantes d'Aulen dans d'autres pays. Bon, les 4 minutes sont trop peu pour aborder une thématique qui se rapporte essentiellement sur l'inclusion financière et les partenariats féminins. Comme vous le savez tous, le combat éternel ou bien le combat de la femme face à la discrimination systémique était toujours, s'articule sur 2 grands axes essentiels, c'est le pouvoir politique et la richesse. Quand on dit richesse, c'est-à-dire l'accès à l'économie. Donc, partant de cette conviction, au niveau de notre réseau en Tunisie, qui est nouvellement créé à l'instar des autres, bien sûr, réseaux Aulen, nous avons prévu 5 thématiques, 5 axes d'orientation générale que nous avons pris en considération. Parmi l'un des axes, c'est le partenariat féminin et l'inclusion financière. Et nous avons même nommé la semaine dernière une représentante du Conseil national des femmes chefs d'entreprise. Elle est une dame très dynamique et très engagée avec nous au niveau du réseau. Et on est en train de préparer toute une stratégie pour remédier, pour éliminer les barrières et les obstacles qui confrontent la femme qui veut bien lancer des projets financiers, qui veut bien s'implanter en tant que femme d'affaires ou bien femme chef d'entreprise. Nous avons vraiment ces 2 défis au niveau des pays, les défis de poste, l'accès aux postes de décision et l'accès, bien sûr, à l'économie en Tunisie. Et on travaille là-dedans. Nous avons commencé par les secteurs agricoles, comme les femmes les plus vulnérables sont dans les secteurs agricoles. Et nous avons commencé à travers la législation. Et il y avait tout un processus que j'ai lancé avec la société civile et avec, bien sûr, dans les cadres de Aulen, comme je suis parlementaire, l'accès au Parlement est facile pour moi. Donc, nous avons commencé à préparer toute une stratégie pour le renforcement de la femme au milieu rural, pour soutenir le projet de la femme rurale à travers, bien sûr, la législation, et ça va être partagé sur d'autres secteurs, et nous sommes en plein dedans. Nous avons fait tout un comité de pilotage qui est en train de travailler sur la question. Actuellement, Madame Olfa, nous avons nommé, elle est en train de recenser toutes les difficultés pour les femmes en post-Covid, parce que comme vous les connaissez tous, et nous vivons tous la même situation tout autour du monde, la pandémie a énormément causé une récession économique et a touché énormément tous les projets économiques, et essentiellement les projets de la femme, et surtout les femmes artisanes, qui est lié au tourisme. C'est tout à fait normal, comme tous les voies sont coupées actuellement. Il y a un grand problème qui se pose actuellement pour les femmes artisanes, et nous sommes en train de voir, nous avons lancé toute une concertation avec ces femmes-là pour les soutenir, pour qu'ils relancent leurs projets. Encore une fois, bien sûr, vu la situation pandémique, on espère bien que la situation s'améliore et que les voies seront ouvertes et que la dynamique touristique s'élance encore une fois. La Tunisie, l'économie tunisienne repose essentiellement sur le tourisme. Donc, il y a tout un éventail de femmes qui travaillent dans les secteurs artisanaux et qui donnent le plus, bien sûr, pour les pays et pour leurs familles. Donc, on est en train de voir quels sont les mécanismes nécessaires pour le relancement de ces projets-là, pour le soutien de ces projets-là. En fait, l'inclusion financière demeure quelque chose qui est en dessous de notre attente. Nous avons également une autre approche. Dernier mot, voilà. On a recensé, bien sûr, toutes les législations femmes pour avoir des projets économiques, et nous sommes en train de travailler là-dedans pour apporter en tant que force de proposition à la législateur, pour qu'il puisse changer ou bien même adopter d'autres nouvelles lois pour le renforcement de la femme et renforcer l'inclusion financière et prendre des mesures positives à l'égard de la femme en ce sens-là. Je vous remercie beaucoup pour ces panels. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, honorable, et nous avons bien noté l'identification d'un paquet législatif prioritaire pour rendre le cadre plus favorable aux femmes qui sont dans le domaine de l'inclusion financière. Je voudrais donc revenir à Miss Imelda. I hope she is back. Thank you to Tunisia. Miss Imelda, are you back? Okay.
I'm back. The perks of meeting online, but I'll continue nonetheless. I wanted to mention that the Youth Caucus, through the steering committee, has also hosted a number of virtual meetings on different topics on young women's leadership. So in 2020, we hosted an IWD, International Women's Day Dialogue, under the theme My Take, Your Take. And the event brought together seniors and young feminist activists to engage in an intergenerational dialogue on gender equality in Zimbabwe. And this week, we managed to convene an intergenerational CSW 65 consultative, during which both the older generation and the younger generation, together with national women leaders, were given a platform to reflect on the unique and common barriers for full political participation within our context. And we've also had other youth-specific engagements, such as the commemoration of the International Youth Day in 2020, and also a regional African Young Women Roundtable on young women's leadership. We also have seen the establishment, this year rather, we are prioritizing the establishment of provincial chapters to reach women in
I think we losing Imelda, Miss Imelda again. Well, maybe we will ask Ms. Imelda to send her presentation that will be shared with participants. It's a shame, but I think we got the, the idea she wanted to share with us. We know that Zimbabwe is very active in the area of intergenerational work. Now we have come to the end of the panel. I know we had scheduled a Q&A session, but at this point, if you allow me, because of time constraints, we could check the questions in box unless there is an objection. We could maybe get the questions in the chat box and maybe give the floor to our two co-conveners so they can address the panel. And if you want, we can come back to summarize the questions if time allows us to do that. If it is okay with you, maybe I will call on Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, the Undersecretary General and Executive Director of UN Women. And I'm here, I'm speaking as her special representative on the national chapter, on the establishment of AULIN national chapters. And I'm based in DRC where I'm doing the work from. So Dr. Phumzile, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Awa. Thank you for representing me and UN Women so well in this work of national chapters, and also for moderating this session so well. I can see that you feel the constituency very much, and thank you so much for this leadership. I also want to greet President Joyce Banda and thank her for always being with us in the work of AULIN. Thank my dear sister, Madam Diop, who will be also talking, and greet all the participants, especially the ones who have presented very enlightening messages on the panel, and of course, our big partner, Germany, for the support. I want to say to the chapters, congratulations for the steps that you have taken, for the work that you did during the pandemic. About 14 of the chapters were engaged in activities that deal with COVID, including violence against women. The youth has been super active throughout the pandemic. In fact, one of the hallmarks of AWLN is intergenerational cohesion because of just how active the youth is and how much we at AWLN value the input of young people. So thank you so much for that. I also want to congratulate the women in Mali for standing up for their own rights and making sure that their leadership is felt in Mali, especially at a situation that was very difficult. And again, that too was because of the support from AWLN. There has been a few times between myself and Mrs. Diop when we have constantly followed up on issues as they develop in different parts of the world, of Africa, especially as it has to do with women, peace and security. So thank you to many of you who are active in the women, peace and security space for continuing to make sure that the voices of women are felt and heard. I also want to congratulate the first women president in Tanzania, even though it was under set circumstances after we were bereaved and lost the president. We will be here to support Madam President, and we are hoping that she will also be joining us. We have heard the call for institutionalization between myself, Madam Diop, and my representative. This has been a discussion that we have had. We have had this discussion also with ECA, who is also a partner in this work of AWLN. So we are taking steps both to look at the legal implications of AWLN, but also looking at creating the infrastructure to ensure that we have a secretariat for AWLN. We unfortunately cannot guarantee that we will be able to make that happen for all the chapters, but we'll help and work with the chapters in order to make sure that they too find ways of having some capacity that continues to institutionalize AWLN. We are also meeting at the time when many of our countries are starting with their recoveries following the pandemic. This is something that you need to be concerned about, you need to be active on, because in most countries, these COVID-19 task teams tend to not include women. We have done a review of the chapters, and I want to congratulate DRC because it is one of the countries where women are adequately represented, but most countries, the task teams do not have women. Globally, only 27% of the countries have got task teams where women are adequately represented. This is a crisis. This is something that we have to take on and intervene, because it means that the status quo will remain going forward. This is supposed to be a moment and an opportunity to reset our countries. And if we reset our countries based on recommendations that will come from committees that excludes women, you can imagine how unrepresentative those recommendations are going to be. Consider that the pandemic has hit women the hardest. Women have lost the bulk of the jobs. About 2/3 of the jobs were lost by women. Women have experienced increase in violence. Women have, girls are losing education. They are dropping out of school, something that we should also as AWN be very active in addressing and following up. And we must track these girls and bring them back to school, because this is the work that we've done in the last 2 decades as the women's movement, sending and keeping girls to school. To have to lose girls at this time because of a pandemic, a threat of 11 million girls who may not go back to school ever, is something that should worry us. Girls are also losing education because of pregnancy and teenage pregnancy that is not from consensual sex. Girls have been forced into sexual activity, ending up with pregnancy, ending up with losing education. And girls are also being forced into early marriage at this time, and girls are also being trafficked. So we need to really increase our activity, and we need to work with traditional and religious leaders, because they too are important in this. We have opened contacts. If you touch base with UN Women offices in all your countries, they will also link you up with the partnership that we've forged with religious and traditional leaders, because this issue is very urgent. It has to be brought to the attention of the government. And of course, girls also lack the infrastructure for digital education, something that is very needed at this time. So we also need to engage with the departments of education in order to make sure that we also protect girls' education, and they are not left behind because they do not have the digital infrastructure, gadgets, and everything that others have. We are also in the midst of CSW, as I'm ending our. we are in the midst of CSW, and this year's CSW is focusing on leadership, which is our thing. The text is not strong enough on leadership. We need you. There's still 2 days of negotiations. If you could reach out to the representatives of your countries, as UN country office, as well as AWN, to ask for your representatives and negotiators to make sure that the text is really strong on women's leadership, so that we do not water down any of the
because at the meeting
progress we have made on leadership. If the text is weak, there is a risk that we will not, going forward, get the strongest push from our governments on moving forward women's leadership. So Africa is very well represented in the negotiations, but Africa needs your support and your engagement in order to push our negotiators to be much stronger and to represent the priority theme, which is on women's leadership and participation, as well as on violence against women. We want to have good language there that takes us forward. So thank you so much to all of you, and I look forward to our ongoing work.
Thank you very much, Edie. And I think the message has been well noted by the participants, national chapters, and all those who connected. Please reach out to your government, to your representation, to ensure that the language is there and that text is strong enough. It is important for us going forward. And I call on DRC, Madam Julian Busenge, who not only is a key member of AULIN, but is also in the AU panel of President Tshisekedi, so she can also help raise that issue very quickly. We have 2 days to go. Thank you. So at this point, I would like to give the floor to Madam Binta Diop, the Special Envoy on Women, Peace and Security of the AU Commission, and who is the co-convener of the AULIN. Madam Diop, you have the floor. Madam Diop.
Thank you, Madam Moderator Awa. Thank you so much. Let me recognize Dr. Joyce Banda, our president. You know, she's still for us president. You know, we never talk about former president, because for us, we have few of them in this continent, Ellen Johnson herself, and we get a new one. So Madam President, you are our pioneer. Thank you for leading. And also to recognize the Paul Losoko, the Chargé d'Affaires of the Mission of the Democratic Republic of Congo, and my sister Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, the Secretary General and Executive Director of UN Women, Ambassador Christoph Asgen, the Permanent Representative of Germany to the UN, and also Dr. Joanny Bewa, the lead of the AULIN Youth Caucus, and all the representative of the national chapters, and the African Union representative here, the Gender Directorate. Ladies and gentlemen, I think Phumzile have said it, that we are, as AULIN, with attending the CSW, and we promise to have 25 chapters during this time for the 25th anniversary. I think we have made it, and we have made it, my sister. And maybe you will allow me to pause here and recognize your leadership, Phumzile, for continuing with determination and leadership, the Beijing agenda, but also the Generation Equality Forum. And that was the vision, to have 25. And we salute what have been done by our and the team of UN Women, but also by the support given by Germany. Ambassador Christopher Sken, I think your support, not just to the chapter, but to the institution, have made these 25 chapters emerging, and Africa can proudly show that we have been mobilizing on the ground during CSW to have a common position, but in the future with the generation equality as well. So when we look at back, and I think it has been done during CSW, but we did it in Africa, we have made few progress. And I think it has been done this because the determination of the women, their resilience, their solidarity among themselves. And we need to say that those gains before COVID-19 was done thanks to the African women who are at the forefront of the peace, security, and development of this continent. So while we were taking stock and we were happy to see some gains in our continent, COVID-19 erupted, showing once more, as we said, that women are the victims. It has been said they are at the front of the health, which become, at the end of the day, the social economic impact on the women themselves. So I think when I listen to the experience that have been shared by our chapters, the 25 chapters, we can say we need to continue to recommit that we need to make sure that while we build back better, our women have to be at the center, and in particular, the young women. We need to join hand in hand, the elders, but also this generation, to make sure that we transform Africa for the best of our population. You know, I again thank UN Women for really leading the 25 chapters and the leadership of Madam Awa Ndiaye-Sek, but also with the team of PAVI in New York. Let me also say that yesterday, when we had a meeting with the Peace and Security Council on the issue, because we continue to have the dialogue. We had an open session which was led by Kenya, a female ministers of foreign affairs, and we have new female ministers of foreign affairs. More, we have Libya now, the first female foreign minister. We had Senegal and few other countries, female, to sit at the Peace and Security Council and to review the implementation of 1325 and other resolution on women, peace, and security. And I can tell you yesterday, we reiterate the commitment with the new commission that have been elected, in particular with the new commissioner for peace and security, which is also dealing with political issues. We recommit, the member state recommit to implement our agendas, especially that following the forum we host last year in December, the Women Forum that was attended by many of the women Aulin leaders led by Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. So we recommit yesterday the member states to say that 30 countries that have adopted the NAP National Action Plan are not enough. We need to make sure that Africa, all African countries can embark into looking into adopting and implementing, not just adopting. And we had also the input of the regional economic communities. UN Women being part of the discussion yesterday, we were able to review some of these, the gaps that are still existing and how we can, like Julienne Lusenge have said in the East Congo. I was with her in Beni, Bunia, and I think what my sister who just went again we need to see how we continue to support the women of Beni, Bunia, you know, the triangle of death, how we call it. Women are still suffering in there, and we need to continue to support them in East Congo. So I think it's we have another opportunity as well while we are building back better, because the African Union have also, because we talk about financial inclusion, the decade to come offer us an opportunity to deliver on the pledge to make women financial inclusion a reality. President Ramaphosa committed to it, and it was now the President Tshisekedi to say that it will be priority in the agenda of the African Union. This morning, we just had a meeting with the Office of President Tshisekedi to make sure that, you know, we organize to make sure that what they commit again on financial inclusion become a reality. So I'm happy that the member states are taking those, and Aulin are really the one. Ellen Johnson have made a lot of commitment on this, pushing the head of state, including on the issue of violence against women. I think that Aulin have played a key role in COVID, but also by alerting head of state that during COVID, there is a need to rebuild back better, but making sure that we have some kind of instrument, new instrument that address, like a convention that will address violence against women. We are all working together with the Africa Women Leaders Network, the leadership, but also I know that Joyce Banda have just talked to the president of Nigeria on this as well. We are all reaching out to make sure that we rebuild back better, but we address the issue of gender-based violence and other issues that we have that have came out during the COVID-19 pandemic. So let me just say, as I'm concluding, that we have developed a gender responsive response that on COVID, which we are sharing with the member state. It has been developed by the Gender Directorate of the AU and CDC and the Commissioner for Social Affairs, and Aulin have been leading even in the process, bringing the contribution and the women minister in the continent. So I'm sure that with UN Women, we will help Aulin to monitor the implementation of such gender responses to have been given to member states. So I have also heard what have been said by Ambassador of Germany. We are committed for the sustainability of Aulin, because the women of the continent are looking at us that make sure that, their ask, their demand, and we give them so much support and hope. So together with UN Women and AU, we should make sure that the women that are committed, and we listen to them every day, those who are at the grassroots, those that are in the field, those that are in the economic, we need to make sure that we continue to support. So we count on Germany and to mobilize more support even, to bring other partners. We are working closely with Germany in Addis Ababa, in the Friends, and I'm sure that you will all come together, UN Women and AU, to make sure that this Aulin is sustainable. So as I conclude, let me just say our thank you, but thank Lister, those who have been organizing, Mireille, and the team of Pavin, Edie. We are very happy that they really make that the Aulin members be present here. But it's just the starting. you know, it's we will continue to mobilize and to make sure that African Union also bring more women leaders, more, we have 4 female now at the top of the commission. 4, the president is a man, the deputy is a woman, but we need to have more women as well in the institution, but also elected as head of state and as ministers. And Aulin will help us to build the movement on the ground. So together we will build an inclusive Africa, and we hope that there will be no one left behind. I thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Diop. This concludes, we took note of the recommendations from the 2 co-conveners. We also thank you for the feedback on the work that is being undertaken at national level and at continental level with Aulin. And we will make sure that we work together, as you suggested, Madam Diop, Aulin and UN Women and the African Union, with the support of Germany and the support of other donors to advance the agenda in Africa. At this point, we are finished. I know we have many who wanted to speak. It will be difficult to give them the floor. I will just let Miss Victoria Suleimani, the DPR from Sierra Leone, 2 minutes, please, to address the group. And after that, I will kindly ask you to put your camera so we can take a group photo that we can use if we want to tweet or if we want to write reports. So Miss Victoria, the DPR of Sierra Leone, please, you have the floor. And after that, let's just all open our
Thank you
camera.
very much.
Thank you.
Madam Moderator, thank you, but I can't come on camera because I'm in the room only as attendee and not panelist. I had sent the request, but the host did not bring me on into the room as, so I can, I don't see the,
we can hear you, so go ahead, please.
Okay, so thank you for the opportunity. I thought I almost lost it, but
could you please unmute Miss Victoria? Miss Victoria?
Yes, I can. I can come on camera now. Thank you very much. So, as I was saying, for if diplomats are accredited to the UN and an African diplomat, the timeliness of this event cannot be overemphasized, and I want to thank the co-organizers of this very great event. You know, I joined the Foreign Service of Sierra Leone some 26 years ago. And before I came to that ministry, when you spoke of a diplomat, I think the picture that comes to your mind is a male, and the woman standing by him is the wife. But that narrative has changed. This is why I am delighted that you found it, you came up with this laudable initiative, even though COVID-19 has placed extraordinary circumstances on our way. My country, we are aware, its member has launched the chapter in 2018. And of course, at the event held last year, one of our executives shared what the chapter in Freetown is doing. I don't wish to go over it, but I just thought that I should be part of this meeting today. So I desperately went out for the information to log in. I was supposed to be at something else. Given the actions that my country has taken, the political will demonstrated by our president, from the establishment of the one-stop center for SGBV I remember when he launched the center, he categorically stated, I am going to fix SGBV permanently. And he's walking the talk. He took another step and he set up this a sexual offenses model court, one of its kind. No country has done that. That court is exclusively to address the issue of rape. So we are doing it, and in December, we have a gender equality and women's empowerment, a policy which is going to give us the opportunity for, to address the issue of female representation, address SGBV, everything that is on the thematic priorities of this organization. So I cannot overemphasize the timeliness. My question, I just wanted to make these few remarks and direct these 2 questions to the PR of Germany. He spoke in a way, the passion he put into his statement and all the steps that Germany has taken, and they are looking at establishing a permanent secretariat. Yes, I absolutely subscribe to this idea, because the chapters are good, but when there is a permanent secretariat, that would be helpful to make sure that the steps that are being taken are sustainable. Yes.
Could you ask your 2 questions directly, because we are.
So my question is, I want to hear more on the issue of establishing the permanent secretariat. That is my question to the PR of Germany. And then the second question is to the DPR, the Chargé d'Affaires of DRC, the group of friends. We want to be more involved. Now my country has a chapter. If there is a group of friends in New York, then we should be hands-on, because we also have a chapter. So those are my 2 questions, and I thank you for the opportunity to address this meeting. And I salute the phenomenal women. Dr. Banda, I salute you. Madam Phumzile, you have been an inspiration to me. Kudos, and I wish you well. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Victoria. I don't know if the ambassador wants to respond to her question quickly.
Yes, I know we are very late. Very briefly, we are ready to support the Secretariat, but I think the plan, the design for the Secretariat, what you would like to have, has to come from you. You have to organize between your different chapters what you want to do. I do see that it probably asks too much to have a permanent Secretariat in all the countries where you have the different chapters. But we have learned with COVID-19 how to deal with people who are all over the world. You have to check that you do it in a country that has the proper environment. What I just heard from the deputy from Sierra Leone was very encouraging with regard to Sierra Leone. So you have to identify probably a place physical where you want to have it in Africa. I'm for decentralization. Germany is a very federal state, so don't do everything in Addis. Why not do it in Sierra Leone? I don't want to get into but you should design the structure. How do you want to do it? What are the costs? And then you go to also you contribute yourselves. You go to potential donors and see that you'll be supportive. Germany will support you. I liked also your idea about getting the group of friends of African Women Leaders Network in New York together. I must say, during the 2 years that I was in the Security Council, I didn't spend enough time. Since I will retire in July, so I have a couple or 3 more months here, but I promise I will see to it that we do a meeting of the group of friends of African Women Leaders Network here in New York before I leave, and our colleague from Sierra Leone will hopefully participate, and we discuss then forward the project of how you want to, and we can support you in setting up this permanent structure. Okay.
Used to in our countries.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you.
Noisy democracy. But the one thing,
thank you, Ambassador.
ambition is
now we
it is
I would like to thank you all, to recognize you all for this excellent contribution and lively discussions. We will try to capture the key ideas and share them back. You registered, and we will make sure to keep in touch with you. And we got some questions from other continents interested in the Aulin experience that I will send it to Dr. Phumzile and Madam Jo, because another continent is interested in what is happening in Africa with Aulin. So they wanted to share the experience. I will share it inbox with you too. At this point, thank you to you all, the panelists, the high table, the excellencies, the participants, the colleagues, Lista and Madam Job has already said it. I'm not coming back to that. The team that worked together from the AU, the UN Women at HQ level in the field and the national chapter. Thank you very much. If you can please open your camera so we can have a group photo before we all leave. Thank you very much. God bless you. Can you please put your camera? Okay.
Thank you, Joanny. Joanny, smile.
Yeah, absolutely, Dr. Joanny. And Imelda. Lista, I hope you took enough pictures. Okay, so thank you very, very much. This brings our meeting to an end, to the end. I was privileged. I am Sek. I didn't introduce myself at the beginning. I am Awanjai Sek, and I was very honored to moderate this panel. And I thank you for giving me this opportunity. I, again, reiterate my availability to the two co-conveners and also to the national chapters. We are working together. Excellency Ambassador Husden, please be with us, stay with us. We are doing it on the field all together, and we hope to get where we want to be. Madam Job, Dr. Phumzile, thank you. President Banda, thank you. Miss Dr. Joanny Bewa, thank you. And thank you all the panelists. Ambassador, and also the chargé, Paul Mpole Efambe, my almost compatriot. Bye-bye. I think this, we can... Okay, merci beaucoup.
Thank you. Thank you, bye.
Bye.